Right. All right. So, sorry.
All right.
All right. All right. So, forgive me. If you're new to my channel, I am an amateur YouTuber. How do I do this? There we go. Hello. So, let's have a little talk before we start. I am absolutely convinced that God answers prayer. So, I'm asking my friends to pray for the situation, the whole Lamb family. I'm deeply burdened about how this is all being played out on social media. In fact, I've been praying about it. We're going to look at Rachel Lamb's post. She's doxing Suzy and Jonathan's daughter. We're going to look at some of the comments. In fact, I'm going to show you where I'm going to go there first, as well as we got a bunch of, hopefully my audio's on. Can you even hear me? I don't even know. Last time I did this, can you hear me? Is my audio on? Where's my comments? I'm waiting for a ferry right now. I'm in a ferry lineup. So I have a few hours. We're going to look at a bunch of videos. Please like the video. Just let me know if you can see me and hear me. How do I turn this down? All right. All right. So this is one. Okay, we can hear you now. Okay. So this video here, I'm just going to play a little bit of this because to give you some context, and we're going to go over to the Twitter.
You don't have to have a conversation. She's the general.
All right. So I was talking to Robin this morning, and I told her that I went through this entire audio and just picked out. Yeah, I went into the transcript and just typed Command F up top and put in the word submit. And the word submit, minus what was in the comments, they said the word submit probably around 90 times in that hour and a half conversation.
That's one per minute, one time per minute.
It's unbelievable.
Over us is an error. We have the right to appeal to the authority in humility.
All right. All right. So that was like 90 times. Submit. Well, I'll let you listen a bit more. Submit.
If the authority decides to continue with the choice they have made, then we have two options. We remove ourselves from that authority, or we submit to that authority. When we submit to authority, even if we don't fully agree with them, we protect ourselves and allow God to bless us.
Because I didn't do anything in secret. I did nothing in secret. I want it out there.
I think you should submit or leave. I think
Submit or leave.
Should submit
Submit
or
or leave.
Okay, so let's define
I
that.
respect you if you just say, you know something, I can't submit, and we're going to go over here and do this. I respect that. If she did something, and she obviously has done something to screw it, walk in the door and say, can I submit something? Sure. I think this and this and this. Great. Well, let me pray about it. And she comes back and says, you know something? I don't agree. You submit or you leave.
So I love you both, but this is going to end. You submit or you leave.
I'm submitting that it's going to help to have open conversations instead of just letting things build up.
Once you're submitted, it will. Until you're submitted, nothing. This is just a black hole that every word, every conversation is going to get sucked into the black hole, and it's just going to keep feeding this until you submit. And submission means she's the voice of God to you. Listen, Jonathan, I've had a lot of people work for me over the years, and I know immediately when someone's submitted and when they're not, just by their spirit. What I'm telling you is, if you don't believe that, you can't stay. She won't let you. If you do believe that and you submit to her with a right spirit, it's fine. All this can be repaired. Nothing has helped to this point right here, and nothing's going to help until you submit. Now, again, this is not a discussion to get at a different point. You're not going to change me, and you're not going to change her from the outcome of you submit or you leave.
We talk about all these things. So read a viewer comment about Doug that was positive. They would not submit. Well, I mean, there will be a viewer comment the next time y'all are on about Doug. So you either submit and read it, or
you're not being a good leader here, you're not being a good leader at home. Because what Suzy needs right now is the encouragement to submit, not the encouragement to keep praying.
I've felt uncomfortable on the show. I've been trying to process my own way.
It'll be your decision. You'll either submit or you'll leave.
That you have to root it out. You have to get it out. And so the simplest answer is for you guys from your heart just to say, we submit. We'll do whatever you say. See, submission is only a word because disagreement's a word. If there was no disagreement, you wouldn't have to submit. We just all agree. You're wrong about Doug. You're wrong about your attitude towards your mom right now. And so the simple response, the simple answer is, we're sorry, and we submit, and we won't be any more problem. You submit or you leave.
You submit or you leave.
You submit or you leave.
And
submit
this,
or you-
remember, we also talked about that is a tactic of cults. That's what they do.
I'm going to say we are not saying that Daystar is a cult, but we are saying they have cult-like tendencies in some of their leadership styles. Number one, I would like to know who exactly is on the board. I
Exactly.
couldn't find.
All right, now there's a few things I want to get to this video because I'm going to show you a few things here first, and then we're going to go to the social media. So the first thing we're going to look at is where you can watch the full video of Daniel Long. Daniel Long's video is Strong Arm Tactics right here. All right, now I will leave, actually I think a link is in the description if you want to go watch the whole video. We'll look at this a little bit more, as well as this video has been seen almost 70,000 times. This is Jew and Greek. Now he breaks it down, and then we're going to go over to Rachel right now. And so this is it here. This is Jew and Greek. This has been seen 70,000 times. It's almost over 1,000 comments. All right, can you hear me? Everyone can hear me all right? Hello. Can you hear me? All right. Now, in this video, Jimmy Evans' connection in the Daystar drama. And he's talking about the marriage. I haven't watched this video. He's a friend of mine. All right? And we can look a little bit at this video. But before we get to that, we're going to look at this. Now, this is Rachel Lamb, and we might as well jump over to Suzy Lamb and Jonathan Lamb to see what they're giving updates on Twitter. So we can go look at Twitter as well. You can't hear me? You can't hear me. I can turn up my audio if you can't hear me. You can hear me now, sorry. Can you hear? So I can put my audio here. I can talk louder. Sorry. All right, so you can hear me. I can hear you. All right. So now okay, so it's on the screen. Now I got to be really careful because Rachel Lamb is doxing full pictures of the daughter. All right. Now, so what I'll do is, 1 second here. Let me do this. Hello. I'll do that so I can cover the screen. I'm not going to dox the girl. Oh, I could show you this. All right. So we'll look at this first. I have reported the post. All right. So I have reported the post. Many people have reported the post. I'm a Canadian, that's what the Canadian, so I'm going to open up the post, and I'm not going to show you. It's heartbreaking. They got the daughter on Twitter. Unbelievable. And the reason we're looking at that, we're going to look at some of the comments. It's unfathomable to me that Rachel would do this. Reprehensible. I've reported it. So, no little eyes, viewer discretion is advised. Wait a second. There we go. So here's the comments, because some of my viewers don't have Twitter comments, but I just can't comprehend. It's uncomprehendable. First of all, where is Joni Lamb in all this? Why doesn't she tell Rachel to take her? She's doxing the girl. So here's some of the comments. Right? I get you're defensive. It stands alone, but isn't this your niece? My aunt would never. Now remember, with Twitter, anybody can comment anything. So full disclosure, no little eyes, viewer discretion. And I am not endorsing all these comments. All I'm doing is putting Twitter on there. I'm showing you some of the comments, because some of them are pretty nasty. Girl, take this down. Don't use this little girl like this. Please, this is shameful. Off season. All right? Beth says, so this is actually insane behavior to post about your niece. Think about it. It's a gotcha moment. And she's referring to this. This is the post. I'm not showing you the pictures. Great comment, Mary says, but those who shall offend one of these little ones, which believe in me, it would be better for them to have a milestone around their... I can't even imagine posting pictures of little girls, and in the context of what Rachel has said about this, is just the most egregious example. And not only that, it's doxing. It's private information. It's a message between her and Suzy. Posting this child is evil, period. Shame on you, Rachel. So there's 100 comments just in this one thread, all right? This is sick behavior. You're posting a minor pic. Defend yourself. Your husband, your mom, your family's ministry, whatever, is insane. You're validating what exactly? You look like a fishy, and willing to step aside when a... All right, child. So let me... I really want to... Because this video is live, I just want to, before I scroll down... That's not my fairy. All right. I just want to be careful with this, all right? You're disgusting, Rachel. You know the truth and you're terrified to lose your family. But if you don't do what is right, you'll not be at peace because you've been deep down, you know. I have dyslexia, so I'm not a good reader guy. Oh my goodness. No, I'm live streaming right now. That's not my ferry. I'm going to Nanaimo. Oh, what line is it? Okay. All right. All right. So I'm going to play this video for you.
Where I didn't look really hard, but I did search a few things and could not find anything on the board of Daystar. And if Joni is surrounding herself with yes men, then there's a problem because there isn't. She may say there's accountability, but there isn't really any accountability. Just like in a church, a pastor needs to have a group of elders that support him and hold him accountable. It's equally important in an organization that calls themselves a church and a business to have a group of people that truly do hold you accountable. And it doesn't look like that's happening.
No, because Joni is the voice of God. So the buck stops with Joni. That's the issue. And so we can't... okay. How in the world can we trust anything that Joni says when she tried to cover up the alleged abuse of her granddaughter?
Well, in keeping with that, Danny, I think our next clip we're talking about the investigation.
Yeah. So this is from the video that they put out less than 24 hours ago, Jonathan and Suzy. So take a look.
And a few days later, my father calls me and my brother-in-law into his office. He tells us that Pete has been cleared by this forensic examiner and that we need to submit and move forward.
Yeah, and all we ever knew in our lives, all we had ever done is obey and submit. We had never questioned.
Yeah.
And
so
even though I had big, strong doubts, I was angry. I'm not going to just lie and say that, I moved on. No, it was a big struggle. But the way that we were trained, God is our witness, Jonathan and I. You are going to be the future leaders. You have to take the lower road. You have to bring family unity. You have to do what it takes to be the bigger person. Go golf with him. You go have coffee. Apologize to her. Do whatever it takes to be friendly and loving. And that is the character of Christ. And we did it with all our hearts. We didn't perform. We weren't fake about it. We truly did it with all our hearts.
Yeah, I mean, it was very difficult, obviously, to move forward after that. Still, I had legitimate concerns, but at the end of the day, I trusted that my dad had actually gone through the process of clearing Pete with this examiner.
Yeah.
And we moved forward.
Okay, so Marcus calls Jonathan into the office, and Marcus says that Pete is cleared. And yet, if you remember from the Roy's report, Julie Roy's mentioned that Joni had come into the kitchen while Marcus and Jonathan and I don't know if Suzy was there, but had said that Pete was innocent, and that's because God spoke to her and told her that Pete was innocent.
So now Suzy, Joni claims that Pete is innocent, and Marcus is telling his children that it was investigated and Pete was innocent. But there's a little bit more to the story, isn't there? So let's listen.
The board eventually gets to the point where they force me to sign an NDA to be able to stay in my position as vice president and on the board.
Trust me in the many years of experience that you've worked with me, or you don't. And that's what I need to know. Yes, Mom, I'll submit to you. That's all I need to hear.
I just need to pray about it. That's all. I mean, I'm just asking, give me
That's a no.
24 hours.
That's a no.
It's not a no.
That's a no. That's a no.
It's not a no.
It's a no.
No, it's not.
It's a no. Jonathan, you have this
It's
thing.
a no.
No, it's not.
It's
Yes,
a
it
no.
is. It is.
I submit to you.
You're saying on my terms.
Okay, that's all I want to hear. That's all I want to hear is I submit to you, Mom, and we'll move forward. And you can trust me.
And you can't read a comment about Doug, and you know that.
I'm sorry.
You cannot read a comment about Doug, and you know that. If tomorrow you were on Ministry Now and you had to read a comment about Doug, would you? The same comment you didn't read?
Oh, if I had to submit to her, then absolutely.
That's what he just said. I submit to you, Mom.
So you would read a comment. The comment that y'all wouldn't read, you would now read.
We'll get into all of that in a minute, but first, let's talk about what preceded all of this. Joni and her first husband, Marcus Lamb, founded Daystar 30 years ago and built it up over the years to one of the largest Christian television networks in the world. Unfortunately, Marcus died of complications from COVID on November 30th, 2021. And a few months later, Doug Weiss, a Christian marriage counselor and sex therapist who had been featured on Daystar several times, divorced his wife of 30 years. A few months after that, Doug and Joni were dating, and then in March of 2023, they announced their engagement on Daystar. They were married 3 months later by Joni's friend and so from the time that Marcus passed until Joni remarried was 18 months. That seemed awfully fast for many people, but the biggest problem wasn't the time frame, but the circumstances. As a widow, Joni was clearly biblically justified in remarrying, but with Doug, it was a bit more problematic.
I think my audio's better now, eh?
Apparently no adultery in his
My audio's better.
They just
give me a few more minutes, and I had to move my fairy line up. So we'll keep going, and then we're going to look at the Twitter again. Sorry about the audio.
Joni, Jimmy Evans sees 4 justifications for divorce: abuse, addiction, abandonment, and adultery.
When Marcus graduated to heaven, we were about to celebrate 40 years of marriage, right?
Yeah.
And so, as you know, in the previous hour, we talked about how the Lord brought a man into my life, but he had gone through a divorce.
Right.
And immediately in our relationship, I brought Jimmy Evans in.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of walked with us through it. But this is what I found out, Tim, is how bad the church treats divorced people.
Oh, absolutely correct.
And so I remember when we introduced my now husband, Dr. Doug Weiss, to our audience, we were engaged, and I had to tell the audience.
Right.
And so I brought Jimmy in, and he kind of went through, hey, I went through the process with Joni,
Yeah.
and there was no adultery
Yeah.
on either side.
Right.
I remember, but he sat down and he said, but you know, Joni, he said, sitting across from broken people for 40 years, and I used to have that narrow view where you can't get a divorce unless it's adultery. And he said, but then the Lord began to take him into other parts in the New Testament, were Paul's writings, and also some of the rabbinical teaching in the Old Testament about marriage and divorce. And he said, the Lord began to show him that there are actually 4 A's. He said there's abuse that can be excessive,
Correct.
dangerous.
Yep.
There can be addictions.
Correct.
There can be abandonment.
Correct.
Which is almost like spiritual adultery.
Yep.
And then there's adultery.
That's correct.
And I remember he said, I talked to Doug, and I'm not going to get into the details of what he went through, but Jimmy said, Doug had a biblical reason for being divorced. And he said, I went through that. And he said, one of the things I look for is damage. And he said, when I see damage, you ask yourself the question, does God want someone to be damaged and to stay in a damaged relationship? And he said, no.
Yeah.
Now, for a little context here, the host of that podcast is Tim Ross, who used to pastor Embassy City Church in Irving, Texas, a sister church to Gateway Church, formerly pastored by Robert Morris. Joni and Marcus were members at Gateway. So apparently Tim is in agreement with Jimmy Evans on this. Now, adultery we can all agree on. Jesus said that whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another commits adultery, and whoever marries her who is divorced commits adultery, Matthew 19:9. Addiction isn't really addressed in Scripture. I think Jimmy Evans just came up with that on his own. It sounds good, doesn't it? But as believers, we don't go by what feels good or sounds good. We go by the Bible. As for abandonment, the Apostle Paul said, now to the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. A wife is not to depart from her husband. But even if she does depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband. And a husband is not to divorce his wife. But to the rest, I, not the Lord, say, if any brother has a wife who does not believe, and she is willing to live with him, let him not divorce her. And a woman who has a husband who does not believe, if he is willing to live with her, let her not divorce him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Otherwise, your children would be unclean, but now they are holy.
Sitting in the wrong lineup.
But if the unbeliever departs, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases. But God has called us to peace. 1 Corinthians 7:10-15. So he says that a husband is not to divorce his wife. But if you're married to an unbeliever who doesn't want to remain with you, you're not bound. In other words, you're free to remarry. But certainly if both are believers and there's no unfaithfulness, there's no grounds for divorce. But I think the ultimatum. You either do as you're told or you're gone. They held to their principles and were let go. In 1 Corinthians 10, the Apostle Paul said, all things are lawful to me, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful for me, but not all things edify. Let no one seek his own, but each one the other's well-being. Eat whatever is
sounds out again. Nobody can hear anything I'm saying.
The whole thing is,
the whole live stream's ruined.
The earth is the Lord's and all its fullness. If any of those who do not believe invite you to dinner and you desire to go, eat whatever is set before you, asking no question for conscience sake.
Oh, you can hear
But if anyone says to you, this was offered to idols, do not eat it for the sake of the one who told you, and for
All right. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. It's not my intention. This is a really serious topic. So please forgive me for my live streaming. Thank you for everyone who stopped in. If you like my video, it helps with the algorithm. And I promise I won't do any more car live streaming again. I am waiting for my ferry. So let's just keep listening to Rod. And then I'm going to queue up.
Sake.
And then I'm going to look at Rachel Lamb's Twitter. I'll get it ready.
For the earth is the Lord's and all its fullness. Conscience, I say, not your own, but that of the other. For why is my liberty being judged by another man's conscience? But if I partake with thanks, why am I evil spoken of for the food over which I give thanks? Therefore, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. Give no offense either to the Jews or to the Greeks or to the church of God. Just as I also please all men in all things, not seeking my own profit, but the profit of many, that they may be saved. Paul was talking about conscience when it comes to food here, but I think the same principle would apply to marriage. Seek the other person's well being. If a fellow believer's conscience doesn't allow them to sanction a marriage that they feel isn't biblically justified, then for the sake of their conscience, you shouldn't put them in a position that makes them uncomfortable. Jonathan and Suzy were willing to submit to Joni as the leader of Daystar, but Joni forced the issue to a point where they couldn't submit. Joni should have respected their views and either read the viewer's letter herself or had somebody else read it, rather than expecting them to violate their consciences. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own. 1 Corinthians 13:4-5. Love doesn't seek its own. Love takes into consideration the views, the feelings, and the needs of others. If the conviction Jonathan and Suzy had considered, they would still be employed at Daystar, and the organization wouldn't be today. Valuable love for all, get bit maybe for some. Thanks for watching and blessed.
All right. So, all right. Thank you for watching, and I am just looking at this. I'm going to close the tabs here, and hopefully, just typically when I'm at home, hopefully you can hear me. It's unbelievable. Oh, you can see me. All right, so, you know, this will be my last car live stream for a little while. It has to do a lot with my connection. It says I have 5 bars, so Jonathan just reposted something we can look at, and I'm done this video for the day. I just wanted to come online, and I thought it was interesting that Daniel Long, let me look at that. Daniel Long counted how many times they said submit, and it was somewhere around 90 times in that conversation. And of course, in every one of my videos, this is my, all right, sorry, I'm just trying to get Twitter here. Go to Jonathan Lamb. Remember that according to Daystar, this is a smear campaign and an effort to blackmail Daystar. That's what they put out with their, all right, with their letters. But so, like, reiterate. So, full disclosure. Daystar is saying that this is a smear campaign put on by Jonathan and Suzy. The allegations are absolutely untrue, unfounded, complete vindication, case closed. That's what they're saying. They're also saying that, well, they're saying absolutely smear campaign, and they was trying to blackmail. That's what it is. And in the link in the description, you can read the full statement from Daystar and the video from Joni. They put out their side. As soon as they put out more information, I'll put more information out on exactly what they're saying so you can read it yourself, as well as Julie Roy's unconfirmed sources. I look like I'm Darth Vader in this video. Look at my face, I'm all dark. The Luke. Unconfirmed sources are saying that another article regarding some situational things that are unverified. But I will do a video update when that comes out, probably sometime shortly. And let's look at, this is Jonathan Lamb's Twitter. I'm really having a hard live stream here. I've never had such a hard live stream. This is the worst it's ever been. Usually I use my, oh, I can't even see it. There, finally it's working. So, it is what it is. To my friends and family and viewers that have been watching me for years, you know that I do a lot better when I'm doing live streaming. So, forgive me for, it really is pretty bad. it's an internet connection issues. So here's Jonathan's, and then we'll look at Suzy's. And I'm not looking at Rachel's anymore. She's doxing her parents. So this is the video. Jonathan just reposted this. For everything that is hidden will be eventually brought into the open, and everything that is secret will be brought into light. Mark 4:22. This is a scripture we have been praying with Suzy Lamb, and Jonathan Lamb. There's another one. I was going to share. Well, it's interesting. If it comes to it, legal defense fund. All right. So for my deposition, if they end up, I look like Darth Vader. It's so dark in here. There. Hello. If they do put out a GoFundMe for legal defense, I've unconfirmed, unidentifiable sources that have told me that there is definitely people that are behind Jonathan that are helping him right now. Allegedly, unconfirmed reports that I am not at liberty to say, but rest assured, his number one, all of them were praying for the Lamb family all of the families, so they can have some type of closure and restoration. That's what every Christian wants, is them to be restored. Several friends who can care about us told us about us set up a GoFundMe account in response to people asking for this, so I did it yesterday. So today I notice it's becoming a distraction, understandably so I decided to close it down. For all who are already gave, Suzy and I would like to thank you for your generosity and love. Thank you for your prayers for our family. And of course, I commented that I was actually, I had prayed about it, and I thought, how could I help? And I thought, it's a lot of money for me to send $100. Trust me, that is a lot of money for me. But I just felt like I was going to do it. And I had it all set up for my next live stream. I was going to ask people if they put it on their heart to help them out somehow. But they have shut it down. And of course, I'm not sharing a link because he shut it down. And Suzy said to me on Twitter, so kind, thank you. We don't want people to get confused. God will always take care of us. So it sounds like they're all right. And I was concerned when he put out a GoFundMe. I was like, he did get fired from his job, and I don't know what his financial situation is. I know what mine is. I know what yours is. You know what yours is. But if he was asking for money, I wouldn't, I don't want his kids to go hungry or something. So if he doesn't have work, unconfirmed, unverifiable sources, which more information is coming out that they are in undisclosed location. And like I said, Daystar is a global church. The persecution of the church, there are literally millions of people that watch this program. So, I deal with it myself as a social media guy, that once something goes onto the internet, there's anybody can see it. And I don't know why Jonathan is at an undisclosed location and why he feels threatened. But it could be somebody that's watching Daystar. It could be a number of things that we don't know, lots of factors. It could be somebody that's disgruntled with one of his programs. We don't know. So, and that's where it's at. So he doesn't feel comfortable in his house. We don't know why, but, he got fired. So he's not taking an income. And that's, as far as I understand, like he was going to take over Marcus as the literal... He was going to be the president of Daystar. So, but it looks like they're fine. So praise the Lord. And like I said, unconfirmed reports and hearsay say that he has some people behind him that are helping him right now that I can't confirm for my deposition. All right. And some people are very critical about the lavish lifestyle. Well, lavish lifestyle, all right? Even myself, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are watching this right now, life can go sideways on you very quickly. Where you're living, you got a good job, and you got a health crisis. And then all of a sudden, you're in need. You're at the food bank for the first time. You're driving in with a nice car. Well, you have a big payment. You lost your job. You're at the food bank. So this guy's comment, where is it? Nobody knows what's going on in people's lives. And just because they live a lavish lifestyle, says you. Who are you on social media with 13 followers to say that? All right. And that's my perspective on it. That, I've rubbed shoulders with some of the televangelist type, very important people in this world. I've done a lot of traveling, and I've also rubbed shoulders with the most important people, and I find them in food banks. Those are the people I value. I eat with them, minister with them. In fact, if you want to get involved with my ministry, you're welcome to. We'll look at a few more social media accounts, but I want to say thank you to my friends who are supporting my ministry outreach. This is an expensive time of year for me. I sleep in my car to save money when I'm visiting my kids, and I do these videos on my free time. Everything I have is free. Freely I receive, freely I give. If you want to, I encourage my viewers to support their local food banks, drug and alcohol centers. If you want to support my ministry, I have a way to give on my website. God has taken care of my ministry. I'm entering my 6th year, finishing 5 years of full-time street ministry, and God has always provided. It hasn't been easy, but God provides for me. Now, let's go back to social media, because many of my viewers don't have Twitter, or they're not on Twitter. So let me go back to my Twitter 1 second here. And I just want to apologize from my heart. This is a serious subject. A lot of people are caught up in this. Forgive me for the Wi-Fi and everything else, and hopefully my audio's all right. But I'm not going to be muzzled. I believe it's important that we're talking about these things. We're not talking about Jim's church out of south of the of Canada. We're talking about a global network that spans the globe. También, yo creo que sí. A lo mejor sí, algunos canales en español también, algunos idiomas. I speak Spanish. There's probably in Daystar Spanish as well. Links in the description for my website. Now, this is interesting. Let's look at social media for a few minutes. I have time, and I hope my computer works. This is my friend Joshua Torn Curtin. 2 hours ago, God is not dead. Bible sales have risen. Oh, look at this. There's some good news. Bible sales have risen 22% in 2024, driven by the first-time buyers. Praise the Lord. All right, let me go over to Suzy, because Suzy is actually extremely active on social media. She's commented on a few of my posts. And like I said, if Daystar puts out more information or more videos, here's my prediction. If you guys want to know my prediction, what we're going to see next, we're going to see Eric Voles on doing a show. That's my prediction. He's going to lay it out there. That's my prediction. Eric Voles, the crisis manager, probably on Eric Menekes, and who's the guy that lays on tombstones? Sean Foyt. So there are some people in the charismatic community that will defend Daystar. Jeremiah Johnson. Those are my predictions, that because the social media is so full, Daystar can throw some money at some social media influencers. There's already speculation right now, because I see that I've been blocking people defending what's going on. All right? Horrible comments. I just block them because it's very outrageous. But there's speculation online that Daystar is going to start hiring. This is speculation for my deposition. Allegedly. They're going to hire some social media influencers, and then they can just put on it's a program. They can start, because what they are saying is that it's a smear campaign, absolute vindication. Joni Lamb is saying that, and it was extortion or blackmail, allegedly. That's what they're saying. Allegedly. Well, they're saying that publicly. And there's a lot of things saying this is going to go to court. So that if they decide, here's the two ways. If they decide to go to court, then you might not see the social media. But if you start seeing them pump out videos with their extortion, blackmail, and smear campaign, then we'll see how it all plays out. And I'll keep you up to date. Okay, look at this. Joseph Z, he likes to pretend he's a prophet as well, has defended Daystar. So there it is there. There's a live viewer comment. And everything I said is speculation, including... All right. Okay, so let's go over to Suzy Lamb has been very active on social media. Let me just see if... I just got to be careful because it's Twitter, and there's so much stuff on Twitter that... One second here. Um, all right. All right. So here it is here. Suzy Lamb has posted how to shame a victim. Let's read. We can read this one. We can read this one. My ferry's not going for another 20 minutes. Oh, and here's my friend. This is my friend Joshua Simon. A comment on his last YouTube video was, what was not dealt with privately, hopefully you can hear me, will be exposed publicly. What's that the Lord showed me? I am not judging. That also affected our home church. We are not bitter. It was painful. But what it's done in the dark will come to light. All right? What is done in the dark will come to light. And that's my prayer on this channel. Wherever that goes, the exposure and the truth. We want the truth. All right? That's what we want on my channel. We're praying for the truth. The full truth come to light. All right? And Laura Lynn hasn't put any more stuff out yet. So here's her Twitter. There's Maxime Bernier. This is Canadian. Take off, eh? It's a beauty here in Canada, eh? Take off on the accent, eh? It's a beauty. It's a gooder. It's a gooder is another one we use, eh? Here in Canada, eh? I'm a Canadian. All right, so let's read a few of these posts. How to shame a victim. Why? Ask why they waited so long to come forward. Insinuate they are going public for a financial reason. All right? Mandy says what the channel called Real America's Voices, they are playing Joni Table Talk like it's a Daystar. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We'll see if they try to all of it, we'll see what happens. The Canadian accent, eh? Yeah, it's a beauty, eh? Take off, eh? Take off the hoser. The hoser. Yeah, it's a beauty. All right. All right, the Canadian accent with the coffee, eh? All right. Demands details you are not owned. Inserts your narrative of what they should have done to prevent or respond to the abuses. Sympathy for the abuser directly or indirectly by mirroring their language. Interesting. This is a lady named Alicia. Alicia. My circus monkeys armchair. Oh boy. We have an armchair investigator. That comes from Eric Voles. And advocating for clergy abuse survivors at IHOP. Okay. God bless you, Alicia. It is only one thing to hold the tension of complex story and approach it with curiosity. It's another thing to burden victims and whistleblowers and standards that you have not required of the people and institutions who harm them. All right? Let's go back to Suzy. When Jesus said way was narrow, the leaders are also stifled through. Even if you had my guardians in Christ, you do not have many fathers. The difference between the grifters and the fathers are willing to lose everything. Well, the fathers are willing to lose everything. My YouTube channel, they're threatening me. The Daystar. And for my deposition, I have never once said the Death Star. I always call this the Millennial Falcon. This is my Millennial Falcon, reference to the Return of the Jedi. I am not saying the Death Star, I'm saying the Daystar. The Daystar is after me for my deposition. All right, bring it on. I want my day in court, freedom of speech. I'm going to plead innocent, plead my case, defend myself. I'm going to take it right to the Supreme Court. If they sue me, I am going to the Supreme Court and I'm going to plead not guilty. And if they win, I'm going to ask for the maximum. I'm going to go be a street minister. I'm going to go minister to the gangs in prison. That's a fact. Read my Bible, get 3 meals a day, and minister to gang members. That's exactly what I'm going to do. All right? I'm all in. So I like this. The fathers are willing to lose everything. Everybody's reaping the benefits, but when the crisis comes, hardly a father has stepped up to help us. Wow, what is this here? So Suzy reposted this. Whoa! This is... Well, let's listen to this. Sorry, you can't see it. I am the worst YouTuber in the world. 1 second here. We're going to watch this, and I'm going to shut this live stream off.
Independent circles. You're a father or mother in the charismatic independent circles. You're a father or mother in the movement by being a teaching itinerant ministry. You stand on a platform, everyone say, you're a father, you're a father, you're a father. Everybody's reaping the benefits financially, reputation, everything wise, socially, emotionally, as being a father. But when the crisis comes,
Right.
hardly a father was stepping up to help us.
Yeah.
People who say,
Okay, so if you don't know what he's talking about, he's talking about the fact that the church went silent when the IHOP KC asked Mike Bickle, if you're new to all this, it's actually on my website. Mike Bickle used prophecy weapons against the global church, and I put a tab together. If you want to go help the advocates, they have their own ministry. You can donate to them directly. This is the IHOP KC.
Safety for other women. That is her goal. When she realized that it was not just her, that she was not just Mike's one dirty little secret, that there were others, that is what compelled her. And I think that's so noble.
Yes.
She's sacrificed her whole life and reputation now in order to protect many other women.
100. We'll listen to this in a second, but I just got the best comment text. This is from a street friend of mine. 2 years he's been living on the street. This is his daughter. I do advocacy. I have some good news. Praise the Lord. My dad is going to treatment. Praise the Lord. You don't understand how happy I am right now. It's my good friend Mike. So we've been praying for this guy for 2 years, all right? So his daughter just texted me. I do advocacy with parents. I don't like doing funerals, but it's part of my job. Thank the Lord he's in treatment. So we'll keep going with this.
Times she heard him say that Diane was going to die, they were going to be married, etc. Well, Michael Sullivan said, I've heard that before from another woman. And so I jumped on a call with her. Dwayne did as well. This lady said in 1983, he began to immediately pursue me in a relationship that was the phrase he used. So, yeah, I heard that straight from her mouth. Another person that we've all known for many, many years, a very credible person.
Credible woman actually came forward to my wife and I at the beginning of August and told us a story.
I'm done.
And I can't unhear that.
I'm done this live stream. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. We're fighting back on my channel. I will not be quiet. I will not be silenced. I'm fighting the Daystar. My ferry's here. So I got to sit in the ferry for two hours. Thank you everyone who's liking my video. Lots of people share my videos. If you want to get involved with my ministry, go to my website. And let's keep the Lamb family in prayer. I know I'm praying. Let the Lord reveal the truth. Bring it to the truth. Pray for everybody involved. And that's it. So, I didn't answer any questions, but I got to get on my ferry. So may the Lord bless you, keep you strong in the faith, and remember, Brother John loves you.